Last Thursday, I came home from work. I opened the door like I usually do, and I said, hey, because I'm home. That's how I announce myself when I get home. I said, hey. My wife's sitting in the living room. She said, hey, big sexy pastor. That's what she calls me in my house. I said, what? She said, hey, big sexy pastor. I said, how you doing, baby? She said, I'm doing good. I said, what have you been doing all day? She said, well, for 6 hours today, I was binge watching videos. I said, really? For 6 hours, you're binge watching like Hulu, Netflix, or something like that? And she said, no. She said, for 6 hours, I was binge watching all your sermons online, taking notes. It was amazing. I said, for 6 hours? She said, that's right, big sexy pastor, for 6 hours taking notes on you. I said, really? I said, is that all you did today? She said, oh, no. I said, what did you do? She said, well, after that, I spent 2 hours creating you a brand new website, I'mScottsBiggestFan.com. It's amazing. Really? She said, yeah. I said, so you binge watch 6 hours of my sermons, taking notes, and then you create a website? She said, yeah, that's not all. I said, what? And she said, for 2 hours, I spent 2 hours with the Lord praying. I said, really? What were you praying for? She said, I was just thanking God for my man, how beautiful he is, how compassionate he is, how he's a great communicator, how he takes care of me, how wonderful he is. I said, really? She said, yeah. I said, well, today's a good day for me, right? That was Thursday. I come home Friday, open the door. Hey! Hey! She calls from the other room. Did you forget to take the trash out today? Maybe. Did you forget to let the dog out today and he peed on the floor? You know that? Maybe. You left the toilet seat up again. You realize that? Maybe. Now what's happened to my identity? Man, Thursday was great because she loved me. Friday, I'm not feeling like she loved me very much, so my identity's up and down. And if my identity is based on her love for me or what I perceive as her love for me, I'm ruined. But the fact of the matter is this, that he loves you when you're on top of the mountain, on your best day, and he loves you on your worst day. That's why you can walk through the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil, because you're like, I know it's all coming around, but here's what I know. Even though circumstances may say different, even though it might be falling apart, there's a God who loves me even at my worst.